Good day, everyone, and thanks for tuning in. Later, we'll be hearing from my friend Kurt Thomas. I know Kurt because we've both been playing around Atlanta for years at a lot of the same small venues, places where people generally go for good food and a few drinks, and sometimes the live music is simply there to create an atmosphere. In other words, background music. Those gigs can be a long night, and if you do enough of them, even the most cheerful of us can feel a little beat down. Kurt is a real working musician and a family man. He continues to sharpen his craft, pursuing much larger audiences and still putting in the work, playing the gigs, writing the songs, and trying to make connections with people. Now, I don't personally listen to modern country at all. I do love the older stuff, but there's just not much that's been recorded more recently than the 1970s that I have much interest in. And although Kurt's style is much different from my own, his is pretty much mainstream, right down the middle of the road, modern Nashville country. I do appreciate what he does, and I really love when he's hitting those low baritone notes. When you hear him speak and you hear his accent, just know this is not a put-on for Nashville accent. If anything, he may be trying to tone it down for us so we can understand what he's saying. But thanks, Kurt, for being here. Here we go.
And some of the best stories of my time playing music are things that were miserable at the moment.
Welcome to the Etowah Valley.
You're listening to Etowah Valley Recordings, conversations and music from the Etowah Valley and neighboring Georgia towns. All right, Kurt, I'm going to first read, if it's okay with you. So here's what it says, and I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I just kind of want to let folks know that you're the real deal. So it says, Kurt has opened for some of the biggest names in country music, including Kenny Chesney, Brooks and Dunn, Sammy Hagar, Leanne Rimes, Zach Brown, Sugarland, Darius Rucker, Leonard Skinner, and Gary Allen. He also won Season 3 CMT's Music City Madness, a nationwide contest that led to Kurt's doing an unplugged Studio 330 session on CMT, as well as a mentorship with Grammy Award-winning singer Randy Travis. He says, I have always tried to stay in touch with the fact that a good song tells a story, and most of my songs always do. So welcome. Thanks for coming up to Etowah Valley to do this.
Thank you.
Tell the people that are listening a little bit about yourself and where you came from. I know you grew up in Dahlonega. Tell me a little bit of what that was like.
Oh, man. You know, it was that true small town life, you know. I mean, I was a little bit outside of Dahlonega, so it was still like 10 to 15 minutes drive. You know, Dahlonega was the city. You know, I lived in the true sticks, surrounded by farm animals and everything else. But my mom got me a guitar. I think I was in like 6th or 7th grade. She got the local musician guy to show me some chords. Is Mark Wheeler from a very successful Southern gospel group called the Marksmen.
Was that it for you? You were off to the races?
No, not at all, man. I love doing martial arts a lot. And
I didn't know that about you.
Oh, yeah, man. I was in it for years and years. And we weren't the wealthiest of families, and they were like, you got to pick a hobby to be into. And I've always made the joke, like, I picked martial arts because I needed a good physical beating. I wanted to punish myself physically, and then I got back into music so I could punish myself emotionally.
Yeah,
you know?
No doubt. Oh, man, it has its way of make for good stories, but, man, when you're going through all that stuff, it's just a lot. But
there's always inspiration.
That's right. Who are your musical influences?
Well, at that time, whenever I got that first guitar, it was like no musical influences. But my parents raised me on Fox 97, you know. I mean, so it was, and I loved it.
For the people that wouldn't know, explain the format of Fox 97.
Oh, Fox 97, Randy and Spiff, they used to be the 97.1 in Atlanta. The oldie station, like Beach Boys, The Temptations, you know, and it was a great way.
That's a great foundation.
Yeah, absolutely, and I'm so thankful that they gave me that. Like, my parents actually didn't even like country that much, and and they loved the oldie station, and I was raised up on Johnny Rivers and all these guys.
So no one in your family before you was into performing?
My mom had a beautiful singing voice, still does.
Are you an only child, or do you have brothers and sisters?
I have a brother, older brother. He was 3 years older, Kevin Thomas. And whenever I left Dahlonega, he took over my band.
At least you have a sibling that's also has some interest.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
In addition to yourself, who else is involved in your musical journey?
Oh, yeah, as in family?
Yes, exactly.
My wife, and my 4 beautiful children.
How old are your 4 children?
I have a 12 and a 10 and a 7 and a 4.
What do they think of you as a...
Well, they don't get to see me that much, but perform-wise. And so whenever they do, it's usually a bigger show that somebody's got me to play at some outdoor concert that my wife can bring them to. And it's always
They
good.
think that's what you do every day of your life.
Yes, it's good luck for me because they see me up there and there's like 1,000 people out there listening and enjoying the show. And they think every night that I leave is like that. And
I was watching the video of Sweet, your song Sweet, which you guys can find on YouTube. Is that the easiest way to locate that?
Yes. Just
or
go to,
you can find it on your website
absolutely.
at kurtthomasmusic.com. So
absolutely
look for it there.
Or you just go to YouTube and type in Kurt Thomas Sweet.
In the video, I see a kid holding up a sign that says, "My dad's a rock star." Was that one of your kids?
Yes, that was Van. Yes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So yeah, they think that's your life every day. They have no idea.
Well, they have seen me in a couple of restaurants. They have seen me, so hopefully they have a good grasp, but still, eventually there comes that horrible question that each child has asked me so far is like, Dad, are you famous? No, guys. I'm sorry, but I'm not famous.
You have anything new that you're working on right now that you want to talk about?
I'm playing like 5 nights a week, and in my spare time, I'm going up to Nashville about once a month, and writing with my songwriting partner up there, Dennis Morgan. Dennis wrote songs like Smoky Mountain Rain, and I Was Country When Country Wasn't Cool, and since Aretha Franklin passed away the other day, he wrote I Knew You Were Waiting, Knew You Were Waiting For Me. He wrote that song, and he wrote half of my last record with me, and
those are big
he's kind of getting me ready for my next record.
Name some of the spots that you can be found playing around Atlanta if someone wanted to come out and meet you in person.
Oh, well, every Wednesday night I'm at Rose and Crown on Powers Ferry. Every Thursday night, Napoleon's on La Vista, which is right next to the Vista Room, which is an incredible music venue. And Fridays and Saturdays, I'm kind of all over the board. I could be playing a wedding. I could be, playing a bar. I could be playing solo. I could be playing full band at Dixie Tavern.
Yeah, I feel you.
That's just, I never know where those Fridays or Saturdays
Well, for a lot of reasons, you deserve to be playing on a huge stage, and a lot of folks should be hearing you, but I certainly appreciate the fact that you're out there working so hard.
The thing you said about, still out there doing it, it's, we were talking earlier, but I've always said it's a blessing and a curse for me is the fact that I'm not good at anything else. This is the one thing I can do, this and change diapers,
Yeah.
I could change a diaper like a NASCAR pit crew, but I got to keep on trying new things and keep putting out new songs and trying to get people to my shows because there's something in desperation, There's an art there,
Well,
you can get some of your best work out of desperation, I think.
So you grew up in Dahlonega. When did you kind of move away?
Well, I moved away whenever I got married. My wife, she got a job at WFMY in Greensboro, North Carolina, which is a TV station. She's a graphic artist. So anytime, and then whenever we came back to Atlanta, she got a job at Channel 2, which is WSB. She got a job there, and it was really cool. I got back to Atlanta, and I called up an old friend of mine, Zach Brown. I called him up, and I was like, I just moved to town. And this is before Zach had Chicken Fried and all that, but I knew he was very successful on the scene. And he was like, yeah, I'll get you started with some gigs. I know a guy I can contact you with. He can hook you up with a lot of shows. So he introduces me to a guy named Francisco Vidal. And
I'm going to have Fran on here one day. The time's not right yet.
Absolutely.
But he is definitely...
A lot of people will tune in for that episode.
I've threatened to make a documentary about Francisco Vidal, and I haven't... That might be one of the first videos I feature on Etowah Valley Recordings is Francisco Vidal.
I think people on the other end of China will tune in for the Francisco
the
Vidal.
Godfather of the cover music scene here.
I'm telling you, man. That's
man. How we know each other.
But yes, but he put me to work. And one of the first few gigs I got was at a place called JCT, and I met you that night. And that was the first time I ever saw anyone play a cajon before. I was like, "What is that thing?"
The first time
I was
you
like,
played JCT
"Is that a box?"
was the first time that we met.
Yes, that was the first
That's
time we met.
Really funny.
And you heard me singing really low, and you were like, "Wow, listen to that."
You moved back to Atlanta, and what year was that?
2006, whenever I got back. We had just had our first son, Bo Taylor. The Taylor is from James Taylor. All of my kids have musical names. My second son's name is Van, named after Van Morrison. And then I started getting into country, around the time that I was learning it. And it was like, man, you can't escape an accent like mine. It was like, and I wasn't into country much, but I started like listening to it and trying to sing along. And I was like, man, I can do this. I was like, I can nail this whole country thing. So I started doing it. And then nothing will get you liking something more than being able to do it pretty well. I fell in love, started doing my homework, researching all the country artists, found the ones I absolutely loved, and like Steve Orner and Ronnie Millsap, who we got to open up for Ronnie Millsap, which was really cool.
Do you have some pretty steady guys that are in the Kurt Thomas band?
Yes, Taylor. Man, Taylor, though he may play on my left, I always say he's my right-hand man. He plays the djembe and sings harmony for me. Been there for a long time. My drummer, Derek, first time I heard Derek, I knew he was my drummer. He showed up 30 minutes late for a gig at the American Tavern out in Loganville. He was like 30 minutes late because there was some road work and he got caught in it, and he hasn't been late since. Ever since. But he showed up, had a full drum kit set up.
Drummer's got to have good timing.
He
man.
had that thing set up
late.
in 3 minutes, and I was in the middle of Folsom Prison. He just comes busting in playing with me, and I swear within a few measures, I knew that's my guy I'm going to get. I was like, I like him. I like the way he played. I came up with the idea for this song about my wife right here, and I just adore my wife. The whole reason I even get to play music is far and away because of her. And, whenever we moved to Atlanta, I was like, okay, I'm going to go get a 9-to-5. She's like, no, you're not. We're in a bigger city now. You're going to get out there and you're going to play music. So I gave it a shot, went out there, and sure enough, I started grabbing gigs. And before I knew it, I was playing all the time. And she's given me the most beautiful family in the world. So she's made my life sweet. But this is one of my newer creations. It's called Sabrina's Song. But whenever we shop it in Nashville, I think we're just going to call it All the Time. Here we go. Well, I only like commercials on Super Bowl Sunday. Only like the Super Bowl if I can sleep in on Monday. Only like my job when that whistle blows at 5. But honey, I like you all the time. Well, I only like country music when it's country. I only like going to the movies when the seats are comfy. Only like grapes that have been turned into wine. But honey, I like you all the time. All the time that you stood by me. All the time that it took to build this family. There's things I can take in doses, and I don't mean to sound precocious, but honey, I'm a man who'll speak what's on his mind. And honey, I like you all the time. Well, I only like coffee when it's coffee. I don't want a grande,
soy venti mocha latte. I don't like pumping gas when it's $3.99, but honey, I like you all the time. All the time that you stood by me, all the time that it took to build this family. There's things I can take in doses, and I don't mean to sound precocious, but honey, I'm a man who'll speak what's on his mind. And honey, I like you all the time. There are times when I think I've got on your last nerve. There are times when I think I'll finally get what I deserve. But even when you're mad, I'm still glad you are mine. And honey, I like you all the time. All the time that you stood by me, all the time that it took to build this family. There's things I can take in doses, and I don't mean to sound precocious, but honey, I'm a man who'll speak what's on his mind. And honey, I like you all the time. Honey, I like you all the time. Honey, I love you all the time.
I remember going to this FFA banquet. I was in the Future Farmers of America is what it was, Future for Agriculture now, but in my FFA class, I went to the FFA banquet, and there was a guy there named Jay Drummonds, and he was in there playing guitar and singing, and I was watching him. He was playing a Clint Black song. He was, I'm leaving here a better man, and I remember him playing that, and just he had everybody's attention, just bam. And my parents had been riding me about, son, you're about to graduate high school. You got to find something you can do.
Were you a good student?
Not at all. Not even close. No, I was a straight C's kid on a great day. I was always a dreamer, a daydreamer, and, which came in handy later. But,
absolutely.
My parents were riding me. You got to find something you're interested in. You got to find something you want to do. And whenever I saw him up there playing that guitar and all those girls watching him, I go, well, I want to do that.
I found something.
That's what I want to do. So I hatch a plan. I go to the one person who I know who has a guitar. And he has lots of guitars because he's always walking around school carrying a guitar, and he's always playing. And his name was Zach Brown. And we were in high school together, and it was my senior year, and he still had one more year to go. I went up to him. We were already buddies, and I was just like, dude, can I borrow a guitar or buy one from you? And I bought my first guitar from him for $80. It was an Oscar Schmidt. Me and Zach, we started our first little band together, and it was called Deloniga. And I think we played 2 shows.
Say my worries for another day. Today I'm satisfied. Just kick back with a bottle of Jack and watch the world go by.
This song right here is the song that I can truly credit with helping me build the fan base that I do have in Atlanta. It all kind of started with this song right here, and everybody always talks like the greatest songs, they come in minutes. They come in like 5 minutes. This song took me 3.5 years to write this song. And even I remember Zach Brown, Wyatt Durrett, they tried to help me get something going on it, but we could never get anything going. But one night I was on my way home from the studio that I used to record at, and I heard an old Oak Ridge Boys song coming. I was like, what if I went for that kind of deep thing on Kickback with a Bottle of Jack? And that kind of gave me the idea. That's how Kickback was born, and that's how it came to be.
Well, I'm gonna kick back with a bottle of Jack and watch the world go by. Just a bold swing and a 6-string and a Tennessee whiskey high.
Thanks for all you people listening, and please continue to listen to Kurt Thomas and go, his name's spelled with a K, that's K-U-R-T, and go to Kurt Thomas Music and check out his website, find out where you can go see him play around Atlanta. it's really great to see someone of Kurt's talents out continuing his dream to follow music and his passion. So if you enjoyed what he played for you here this evening, or whenever it happens to be for you, it's evening for us right now here in Cartersville. If you enjoyed what you heard, please go and share his music with your friends and your family, and let them know that it's great to make new connections with new artists and new music. It's good for the body and the mind and the soul to do that. So, once again, thank you, Kurt, for coming up.
Thank you for having me, Christopher.
And we'll say goodbye to Kurt for now. And you guys, please continue to tune in and share this podcast.
The Etowah Valley.
This is Christopher Allen Yates, and you've been listening to the Etowah Valley Recording Podcast, recorded live in historic Cartersville, Georgia. Our special guest today was Kurt Thomas. To learn more about upcoming shows, please visit us at EtowahValleyRecordings.com.